Now entering the Bitcoin Podcast Network.
Yo, it's host number 2, D. Right now, you're about to experience a Bitcoin Podcast Flashback. Some time ago, we noticed that today's modern podcasting apps kind of archive a lot of our older episodes, our oldies but goodies. So we decided we were going to start rebroadcasting them to you guys that are newer, or maybe older and you want, a breath of the old TBP, or you're newer and you didn't know what we had to offer back then. You just started listening to the network. Before there was a network, there was the Bitcoin Podcast. There's Corey, Marcello, and myself. And we made a lot of episodes. And we wanted you guys to get the opportunity to hear them. So, without further ado, here is a Bitcoin Podcast Flashback.
Yeah. I think I can get behind that theory.
I bet you if you talk to Lil B in real life, he's like, "Hey, what's up, man? How's it going?
Yeah.
You wanna go get some Taco Bell? I hear they got that new steak wrap." And you're like, is this the base god? And you're like, yeah, that's just
if there was like a charity where you could donate money to charity for a chance to go to Taco Bell with Lil B as a prize, I'd do it.
We need to tap into Lil B's marketing skills, though.
Welcome to the Bitcoin Podcast. This show is intended for information purposes only, but we're not experts. We're just two guys within the Bitcoin community. Bitcoin is an experiment in the separation of money and state. You'll be surprised how many will support that. And adoption is the only thing that matters.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode number 38 of the Bitcoin Podcast. I'm your first host, Marcello. Wow, I blanked.
What the hell was that?
Is it that kind of episode?
That kind of episode. And I'm host number 2, D, bringing the thunder. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Corey is, he has a lot more friends than we do, so he's occupied. Out in Brazil, and as always, we're brought to you by the great people at PopChest. If you're unfamiliar with PopChest, they're a media distribution platform which uses Bitcoin micropayments to directly reward content creators. So if you make premium videos, head on over to popchest.com, and within minutes, just minutes, you can start receiving the almighty Bitcoin from every viewer. And in addition, if you want to watch cool Bitcoin videos, head on over to theprotocol.tv to watch an exclusive 1-hour interview with the biggest brain of Bitcoin, Vitalik Buterin, who just happens to be the founder of the Ethereum project. And the only way to watch this commercial-free video is on theprotocol.tv. And that is with Bitcoin micropayments enabled by the great people at PopChest. And like always, we're also brought to you by escrowmybits.com. Let me tell you about this little service. All you do is register and deposit Bitcoin, and then the seller ships the item, and the buyer checks the goods and releases the funds. And they also offer Bitcoin escrow with a locked exchange rate. They currently offer Bitcoin escrow on a chain pegged to a fiat value using new bits, so there's no complex math at the point of sale. And if you're unfamiliar with new bits, it just happens to be the world's first stable digital currency. And they charge a small flat escrow fee of 1% on all transactions. And they even offer you the ability to split the fee with the other party. So the rest are yours. And Escrow My Bits was created to solve all the problems wrong with the type of escrow services currently around. Your funds are kept in a secure 2 of a 3 multi-signature transaction. And they only hold one of those keys. So head on over to their website, sign up for their newsletter, stay up to date. Escrow your shit with Escrow My Bits. escrowmybits.com. All right, that's it for the ads, man. Let's get into our first midweek, our 2-a-week episodes.
Yeah. This is the second one of the week. It's cool getting 2 out in 1 week. You know what I noticed? Like right when we started, for some reason, whenever Corey's not here, I revert into Macho Man Randy Savage voice. Like
I think we can get a little bit more silly when he's not here because he's so smart.
Yeah.
You're smart too. I'm not that smart.
But I don't agree with that. I think you're self-deprecating for the audience to be a more likable individual. That's what that is.
Yeah, I think Corey just brings a lot of the. He brings us up intellectually. So
yeah, he does.
It's like a circus.
He is willing to extend the effort to be very what's it called? Articulate when it comes to explaining Bitcoin and its nuances. Whereas as to me, I'm more so like, Bitcoin is the shit. Know about it. Boom. Drop the mic.
Yeah.
So,
well, now that I guess tax season's here, are you going to use any of your tax refund to buy some Bitcoin? Do you get money every year?
The funny thing about my tax refund is I am legally single, so I don't get any money back
at all.
It's so fun for me. I fill in all those boxes and I hear that music from like the 50s, like ding 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 ding, and I'm like filling them in, and at the end it's like, congratulations, you get a refund of $15. Yay! Would you like to take $10 of that to pay for our services? And it's like, God damn it.
So you don't know about the joys of just like having all this extra money coming in and just blowing it on Bitcoin and ice cream and CDs.
I honestly don't. And it sucks because everybody's like, oh, tax return time. I think I'll go buy another boat this year. But not me. I just get to fill in. I basically just have a job once a year, fill in a bunch of lines so I don't get put in jail.
Yeah.
And that's it.
But you day trade and all that. So, the IRS only knows what it's told. This means that it has no knowledge of your Bitcoin transactions unless someone tells them. We're not telling them.
Yep. I don't do any trading. Okay. I don't know what you're talking about. Trade baseball cards? Yeah, maybe. Unless
your janky bank files like a suspicious activity report.
Yeah, I know. But I don't think they will. I don't do that many Bitcoin purchases to them. Just what goes through Lawnmower. And every once in a blue moon when the price takes a dip, I'll just buy a little bit. So,
yeah.
But there's not coming in. There's not a lot of money going in that's suspicious, so they don't shut me down. But if every, week I had 3 sources of income where it just said like Coinbase or local Bitcoins, then they would probably shut me down. So,
well, I'm not getting any money. I did a financial faux pas last year, and I left my job with a severance package, and I also filed for unemployment, so I was getting 2 checks on top of each other.
Damn, stacks on stacks.
And the IRS caught that, and they said, you can't do that. So I think I'm going to have to give them all my refund this year.
Oh, that sucks. Yeah, well, I dropped the thing. Sorry. Join the club. No money back from Uncle Sam. All right, so
I don't get anything.
We by the way, we heavily advocate if you are getting a refund, take 1% of it, maybe a little small portion of it, buy some Bitcoins, because after all, it is the era of the blockchain. Let's not get it twisted. And in my opinion, an era of the blockchain implies a value-added situation to Bitcoin. So go get some Bitcoin.
Yeah. In addition to that, if you are 16 years old to 22 years old with expendable income, I would have to recommend that everyone owns at least a small portion of their savings in Bitcoin. It's a strong investment, and it outperforms many investments in the world today.
Yeah, it does. The numbers are there. They're there. And it's risky. And like on our last episode, Corey and I got into depth about like, is it past the point of being an experiment? And I personally, I think it is. I think Bitcoin's here to stay. It's not going anywhere. So if anything, it's just something else you can add to your portfolios and hope that becomes a wealth gain over time. So anyways, we need some talking points going into today's interview. What do we got on the docket?
Well, I say over the last couple of days, Bitcoin Classic lost most of its support, and someone wrote into the show and They wanted to know what the scenarios were for the coming weeks, most likely and not so likely, i.e. hard fork adoptions, soft fork adoptions, consensus, etc. And, we answered a lot of that in the last episode. But people who supported Classic at the start, I think they really jumped the gun. And I think most people saw Garzik's name and immediately assumed that it was a solid project. And as soon as people started talking about it and more information spread, it didn't take long for many people to see just how bad of an idea it would be. So, I think Core has a solid plan and has a very solid team, like we've discussed, to scale Bitcoin. But I don't know, rejecting their work and trusting something like Classic to take the reins of Bitcoin is honestly it's just a bad idea, I think.
So you say stick with Core?
Yeah, too many people were putting their emotions before their rationality with that.
Yeah, I think I would be one of them. I was like, Classic all the way, fuck a Core. Yeah. Like, just because I was tired of the complacency, and I'm tired of the complacency. I want to see some movement on changes. Now, a lot of people would say, oh, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. We don't need the blocks aren't full. We still have time. But like, I don't understand that mentality of not preparing for a situation before it actually gets there. You know what I mean?
I agree. I think you're in the camp that says, like, let's try something else. And if it doesn't work, well, let's fork right back to the core. And I think that's how Bitcoin was envisioned to work.
It's got to upgrade somehow. And unfortunately, it isn't a centralized thing. It's not like Microsoft work. We could just pump out an update and then we're like, hey, if you don't like it, lick on my balls. Yeah. It's like everybody's got to have a consensus. And in order to get to that gradual consensus, you got to try something, man. We can't just sit on our hands, twiddle our thumbs. It's not going to work.
If a soft fork was going to happen, it would take a couple months, right?
A soft fork takes a while, yeah.
So it wouldn't come out to at least April then.
Mm-hmm. But it depends. Like, soft fork is like an update to your software, essentially. So, different people are going to see it at different times. How many times do you get the little notification on your phone that's like, hey, new operating system update. Would you like to do it right now? I'm telling you, there's probably at least a third of the time you're like, I'll do it later.
That's rough. Yeah.
Right.
That's
so
true.
It's pretty much the same thing. Like when I get my iOS updates, it's like, do you want to do it now or later? And I'm like 9 out of 10. I'm like, later. They even have an option now. It's like, do it while you sleep. And it's like, it's weird that when I sleep phone, but yes. And
they know everything.
And boom. So,
that's sad. I didn't think you were going to agree with me that Classic seems to have lost a little bit of its steam.
It has. And I think it has to do with the developers behind it. But man, honestly, I haven't had time to do the dig-in research I'd love to do as of late. School picks up in the spring. Students seem to want to know less. But I'll dig back into Classic and Core, and I just don't know why we can't move. Like, it seems like Bitcoin needs to just move. But everything seems to be fine, and everything is working fine. And I want to reassure the listeners, too, that Bitcoin's working fine. It's just that it does need to scale if it wants to be what it wants to be or what people think it should be. So
it's working fine, but I think be safe. Don't send any coins around if we're near a hard fork, because you could accidentally send some on the wrong chain. Yeah,
that is a possibility. Maybe we should outline like the actual, just to keep people sane in the event of a hard fork, which I feel we've done before. But maybe it's about the time we do that since we're getting so close to a fork.
Yeah, you could accidentally send both Core coins and Classic coins when they didn't mean to. So we should definitely outline that.
Yeah. And then I'd like to believe that most wallet services and businesses that are built well will have, contingencies for that so people don't lose their money. But we'll see. So Corey and I will get on that. I like how we could talk about things Corey's going to do when he's not here. Corey and I will get on that, and we'll try and come up with some sort of easy flow chart for you to understand as a listener and a user of Bitcoin, what happens to your funds in the event of a hard or soft fork.
Yep.
Here's the spoiler alert. Not much. Close to nothing, actually. From a user standpoint, actually nothing. I don't believe. But anyways, we'll go into the details so you can expect that coming at you.
For sure. So this midweek interview that we got going on, we're gonna switch a little bit on over to trust, because I think, we love trust. We it's our security blanket.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that Dimitrik and Corey handled this one while I was sleeping, like a lazy bitch.
It was early.
Yeah.
Early for us. It was early for me, not for Corey. And in the afternoon for her, Alena. She's the CEO, SatoshiLabs over there, co-founder. You may know their product, the TREZOR.
She started this hardware wallet.
She did. She did. I think TREZOR was the very first one, wasn't it?
Yeah, back in 2014. We've interviewed a couple hardware wallet developers, but she should have been the first one that we went with.
I like to think of hardware wallet developers as like the pioneers, the astronauts, the expeditionary-minded guys in human behavior. Because think about it, humans, we already carry a phone. Well, that's pretty much all we carry now. But some people carry a phone, a tablet, a laptop. We have all these hardware devices already. Now we have wearables. I'm starting to feel like a freaking robot. I got a smartwatch on my arm right now. But having a hardware wallet, a Bitcoin hardware wallet or digital currency wallet implies another device that we have on us.
Yeah. And I just bought a $700 laptop that I salvaged it last night, but I almost had to throw it away immediately.
You got it brand new?
It was a refurb. It was a brand new refurb, and it had malware all on it. Oof. So the how do you say it? The TREZOR?
TREZOR.
It can be used in any environment, including with malware, and still keep your Bitcoin safe.
Absolutely.
And that's amazing, because I was a victim of malware last night.
Because the encryption's on the device, and it's heavily encrypted. Unlike some other hardware wallets we've had on the show. She's okay with saying be your own bank.
Yeah, she should send us a free one. No one sends us anything, man.
I don't think we're big time yet. We got to get big time, and then we start getting free stuff.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm going to start. What's the opposite of endorsing? Unendorsing?
De-dorsing.
I'm going to de-dorse everybody until we start getting some stuff.
By the way, listeners, we only did this for the free shit. No, sorry. When we started the show, we were like, you know what? I bet you we're going to get a lot of cool free Bitcoin shit from this.
I want a hardware wallet, but instead of buying one, let's create a podcast and do it for a year, and maybe we'll get one.
Keep key. Here's to looking at you.
Case wallet.
We're coming for you. Just going to have a pile of hardware wallets. Anyways,
let's get Zinnia on the top in here and apologize for the sound quality.
Yeah, we didn't have a good time with the mic, guys. So apologize. Turn it up. I'll try and do. Just turn it up. Listen. She had a lot of amazing things to say about what's going on with TREZOR, and it was a really fun interview. It was the first interview where we got interviewed at the same time.
Yep.
It was really cool to be asked questions and give our opinion on things. So, here it is.
Alrighty. So, Bitcoin is still very much in its infancy. It's still very young. At least I still believe so. How would you mind letting our listeners know how you stumbled into Bitcoin as early as you did? Tell us a little bit about kind of how you got started and then why you're here.
Okay. So I first came across Bitcoin in 2010. Unlike other people who started with mining or investing, my interest was purely academical, let's say. By the time I was studying international relations and economic diplomacy, and international monetary system was my chosen topic for my thesis. And I was kind of looking into local currencies and alternatives to non-functioning current monetary system based on petrodollar. And Bitcoin was quite new by the time. I must admit I had no real clue how it's working, but I was quite impressed by the general idea behind. And then 2011, I met Slush and Stick, my current business partners. And we didn't even go into any kind of cooperation by the time. But when we met 2 years later, these two guys, they're very smart, they've been working on some hardware wallet. And we started to talk about, and I really got into it. I found it fascinating that finally there's a way, and easy to use, for people like myself to have a private bank and private money. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And they were like, yeah, but we need someone to make it happen, because both of them are, as I said, smart and hackers and programmers. But, sometimes you need someone to make things move. So that was me. And that was early 2013. And we started TREZOR as a hobby project, actually. And we thought, okay, let's produce it. Let's make it. Let's make it happen. Prove it works. And let's produce a few hundred devices and just send them out to the world. And finally, because the state always forces you to take measures and create companies and have invoices and do all this certification stuff. So we founded the company because we were forced to somehow, but it turned out really well. And here we are with TREZOR, 2 years working well, and we are working on a new version. So we kind of have new ideas to where we go.
Awesome. And to switch it up a little bit, you've been in Bitcoin for a while. How have you endured this epic debate over scaling Bitcoin? And do you have a particular proposal that you most agree with?
You know what? We've been talking about this with Slush. And we came to a conclusion. I don't want to sound rude, but we don't care. Actually, let's do something. If there's a change needed, just let's agree on some best feasible and easy to do thing now, or let's think of some solution that would be done one time and would not have to be redone over time all over again, because this is something that everyone is wasting their energy on, and we just need to get going, do new stuff and not spend our time and energy on some wars over whether it's 2 megabytes or more. So we were originally more, let's say, in favor of 8. We are even fine with 2. Let's just do it, let's do it.
This affects you quite a bit, doesn't it? When, maybe a hard fork happens, that affects, wallet producers and stuff like that. I would imagine, especially hardware wallet producers. Does it really affect how you create your product and the software you put into it?
Actually, there's no big changes needed for TREZOR itself. We will have to implement some changes on the back end of my TREZOR. And that's it. The thing is, I would like to see one change and not change it over time, over and over and over again, and restart the same discussion and put doubts into whether Bitcoin as a community or as a technology can survive without, following all this struggle between people. That's my opinion. I guess.
You've probably spoken on this quite a bit before, but infrastructure is vital to the progression of Bitcoin, and I think we've reached a critical point in terms of this, to start seeing a lot more emboldening use cases. How do you feel about where we are in terms of what we've built and where we can go? And do you know of any type of killer apps now that we have this infrastructure? I mean, I think personally, value transference, the way Bitcoin does it, is its own killer app, but Bitcoin allows for a lot of things to be built on top of it. And I think now that we have a lot of users and the back end to Bitcoin, we'll start seeing some of these. Do you have any ideas on where this might go?
Well, the question of the ultimate killer app. That depends. I think you cannot just take Bitcoin and find or look for one killer app. I think there's a lot of opportunities and possibilities we don't see yet, but we can already see where it might go. So, for example, if I take just a very concrete example of TREZOR, so at the beginning, the idea was to create a super secure and easy to use hardware wallet for a dummy like myself. Okay. Now, as we have proven, or TREZOR has proven to work well, we see that there are much more use cases that TREZOR can be used for. So we can basically take Bitcoin and have it work in the background to solve other problems and issues we have. So not just have a secure and convenient transfer of money, but we can, for example, use the cryptography of Bitcoin and TREZOR in order to overcome, phishing attacks and malware and keyloggers stealing your passwords and so on. And that's where we're going right now with TREZOR. I don't know if you have noticed the API that we introduced a few months ago. That allows any website owner to implement a login with TREZOR that will basically skip all passwords and usernames for the user and will allow them to use the cryptography and the signing keys of TREZOR to log in to websites or to approve any actions online and so on. So the killer app for Bitcoin must not necessarily be connected with Bitcoin as the money itself, I think. You know what I mean?
I like the way you put that, and I definitely agree with you. Bitcoin isn't just money, and to start thinking about it in other ways allows you to open your mind and see a lot what it's capable of.
Exactly. Like this craze about blockchain for banks. Okay, let them study. They may find a way how to employ. My personal message to the banks is don't forget, you need Bitcoin to have your blockchain running as it is, or you don't need blockchain at all. Yeah. But I come from the banking industry. Actually, I used to work for some banking and insurance groups, and I know they are like fossils. They desperately look for any innovations because their systems are old, slow, overly expensive. So I can understand that there's like, oh wow, this is a new technology. Let's look into that and let's study. Good luck. I mean, yes, go for it. Go for it, but you will eventually have to accept that you can build your own blockchain without a Bitcoin, or you just create a new, distributed cloud storage or whatever. Yeah. So I'm also curious about the killer app. What do you guys think will be is the killer app?
Usually we're the ones asking questions.
I know.
Turn it around on us. Go ahead, Dee.
I myself, I think Bitcoin is its own killer app. I know it's not an app per se technically, but the ability to send value, using the internet as value, send that over the internet, just in a split second, it hits the network. It's there. And on a good day, after 10 minutes, it's not being reversed. and it's very, very, very cheap. I mean, like 3 cents, 5 cents on thousands of dollars. That's
even if you send me $1 million, you can do that. I'll give you my address and just pay a few cents of fees. That's nice. The truth about this is, well, what I think, people usually, the average Joe doesn't care so much whether the money is his own and whether he gets permission to send it or not, until something significant happens, either to him or in the society. People here in Czechoslovakia in the 50s, they lost over half of their money because of the, how do you call it, monetary reform. By the way, I love the nice words politicians use, reform, but it actually means they take half of your money away.
They make it sound so nice.
It has to sound nice. It has to sound like we are doing something good for the society. But no. So either something like that happens, or for $1, are you waking up now?
That's my typical alarm. Oops. Gonna have to edit that out.
Oops, I have to wake up. So for US, something really groundbreaking would have to happen to the dollar. That may happen actually this year, as you look at the prices of oil, petrol, and the overall instability. Let's say US has lost the position of a hegemon in the world, so the trust in the dollar worldwide will be decreasing, I think. And we'll see. I don't know. I don't want to predict any doomsdays or bad things happening. I certainly hope, though, that the system will change radically. So
yeah.
So until then, I think most of the people don't care whether the bank allows or doesn't allow the transaction. There's a certain group of people that does care. For example, people who work in special industries, let's say, people like myself who run Bitcoin companies. We run into problems with banks, but that's a niche group yet. Yeah.
That's kind of where my answer to the question of the killer app would be, is along those lines. It's I don't think we're there yet. We need more growth. But the ultimate killer app of Bitcoin is to allow people to become their own bank and use Bitcoin, but not necessarily know that they're doing it. And so, because the average Joe doesn't care, just like you said, but it's the technology is capable of allowing them to do it, so they don't get that problem that could come with the government taking their money or doing these things that are, sound good but are actually bad. It's the underlying technology behind the way they use money and transfer value just can't allow that to happen. And so I think the next killer, or the killer app of Bitcoin, is allowing them to do that and become their own bank, kind of what similar to what TREZOR does with Bitcoin, but without them even knowing they're doing it.
Exactly. Well, but we are so much used to be babysit by our governments, by whatever institutions you may think of, that it's like really convenient. We don't need to take care of anything. But when the time comes, like something goes wrong, then it's too late. So, guys, how do we let people know they should keep at least some part of their money in Bitcoins or gold or whatever? We should let them know, right?
Absolutely.
But it's difficult, when I say this to my mom, like, mother, look, this and this can happen, or you should be careful about, providing your private data because, and she said, well, I have nothing to hide, right? I say, yes, you don't have nothing to hide now, but maybe in a year or two, the system may dramatically change, and you may turn out to be a criminal for the new system, because you have done something like that the new establishment doesn't like. And I know it sounds maybe unlikely for a US citizen, but in Europe, we've seen a lot of political changes throughout the last 20, 30 years. And we may see them again. I mean, why not? Everyone's predicting the collapse of EU, and who knows what kind of establishment we have then, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I didn't want to be overly political. Please, guys, just root me away. This is the imprint that I got from my studies. To see everything in this context.
It is complex, and it's kind of what's nice about, like, it flows naturally from talking about Bitcoin and how things can be moved seamlessly throughout countries. And then when you start to have something that allows that, the problems of borders automatically come into play. And it's kind of nice to hear that perspective once in a while, because you don't think about it too much.
Mm-hmm.
So to lighten it up a little bit, I guess, we'll take it to...
Okay, I'm very positive.
Oh, no. I don't think... Personally, I saw an article last night that was eerie. It was, right before I hit the sack, it said that it now officially costs less for a barrel of oil than the barrel to put it in. And I was like, ooh, that can't be doing good things for the petrodollar, but I need to hit the sack, not read that article. But, I mean, everybody's there's a little general panic in the markets around the globe, so.
Well, actually, someone was tweeting about this yesterday and saying like, because of Iran, we saw another drop to $28. And I said, wait, the US and Saudi Arabia are the two biggest producers of petrol. Number one is US right now. So if you want to increase the price, you could also decrease the limits, right? Like the production. Neither US nor Saudi do that. So my question is why? The answer may be different, but it might be the same tactic as they used in late 80s to destroy the Soviet Union, right? They are trying the same. Mm. So to complain about the price, but be the one that can actually interfere with the price and change it, and then point to Iran is a little bit off, I would say. Okay. So you wanted to lighten up?
Oh yeah, TREZOR. Yeah, let's talk about TREZOR. Let's talk about TREZOR. Yeah. Is there a large learning curve when it comes to using TREZOR from a user's standpoint? Can my grandma use it? Can little kids use it?
If your grandma can use a computer, I'm sure she can use a TREZOR. When we had the first testing devices out, I asked my friend, and I swear she never even went into what is Bitcoin. She knew there's something like that, but she never had a wallet, nothing. And I gave her the TREZOR, told her to unpack and set it up, and send me a receiving address so I could send her some Bitcoins. And she did that within 15 minutes or 20. So I'm pretty sure any person with basic computer skills can do that, even without studying our user manuals. You just follow through. And this is because I was the person, I was the dummy tester, I said, guys, whatever I can do, then anyone can do, So we really try. I don't want to underestimate myself, but we really try to do it as fluent and easy as possible for everyone.
Awesome. It's good to have that perspective on the team, because it seems like there's the greater population of the Bitcoin community are people that, can program a computer in their sleep. So it's good to have that perspective of somebody who's just a user, not super coder supreme. So,
but I think it starts to be better and better Another great example of a nice wallet, I would say, is a copay. That's a very simple, intuitive interface. I think it's getting quite better. My first wallet was Electrum, and I'll be honest with you guys, I opened Electrum and I said, what should I do now? I panicked. I had no idea what to do. There was a receive tab and send tab, and what should I do? So, and what is this? And I was looking at the Bitcoin address, and I had no idea what the heck is that. So now you see initiatives or activities like Netkey, for example. They try to replace those strings of addresses with some real names that people would be able to use. So yeah, I think it's moving on. It's moving forward.
Slowly but surely, that's for sure.
Sorry?
It's slowly but surely, that's for sure. The ease of use is becoming better and better and better.
Yeah, do you think it's slow? I don't know. I don't remember the early beginnings of the internet, but I can imagine that it was just about the same path of involvement.
It's definitely. I would argue that Bitcoin is the acceleration of Bitcoin is much faster than the internet, simply because we have the internet to accelerate it. But I don't know. It seems slow because we're right in the middle of it, watching its pulse tick. So we want it to be, where the internet is now, but we're not quite there yet.
I want to be where the Bitcoin is now.
Yeah.
Forget about internet.
Mm-hmm. So, TREZOR, my TREZOR, CoinMap. I mean, you have quite a few things going, and it's all, pretty amazing. The projects you're doing. Is there anything that you're working on that you'd like to, you'd be willing to announce for us, or maybe hint towards? Like, where are you going with TREZOR?
We are currently working on TREZOR 2. That will be, we are trying to solve several issues at the same time, which always tends to get complicated, and you want a nice and fancy device, and you want to have it, cheaper for people, and then you want to have this and that. So it's already work of few months. For us, and we still don't have the very final version, but we have some nice designs already on table. In terms of features, we will definitely be expanding. So you could have, you would be able to use TREZOR not just for transmitting money, but as I said, to log into websites, but also to protect your passwords and to protect your communication and documents by using the same technology that's already there, the encryption of TREZOR and the signing capacities of TREZOR. I think we are able, or I'm sure we are able to do all this without compromising the basic security of TREZOR. And this is the goal number one, to just use what's there and go beyond Bitcoin. Maybe this is the killer app, to go beyond Bitcoin and solve issues of many people and many companies that have, problems with phishing attacks. I've been just tweeting about this 1 day ago or 2 days ago. Who was it? Let me just see. eBay. Yeah. eBay had issues with phishing attacks just 2 days ago, right? And that's a huge company. When you look around yourself, there's no week without an announcement of user accounts being compromised. And it's not just about being compromised, it's about the data that's behind it and the data that's being sold on black markets. The more companies work online and have online databases, and they concentrate everything in one point, on some servers, it's like a honeypot for hackers and thieves. So we want to offer a way to completely dismiss this issue. It's not like combating it, it's like skipping it. Because you don't use username and password to go to mytrezor.com, right? So, but you still see all your private data, all your transactions, even without using those usernames and password. How is it possible? So we use the encryption and signing capacities of Trezor to basically open your gate, to whatever you want. And no one else can do that, just the holder of this particular Trezor. So we will be expanding pretty much in this direction, because Trezor as a secure piece of hardware is the only way to keep what's really precious, what's really valuable, away from reach of any hackers and viruses, right? I always, when someone is asking me, like, why do I need a special hardware wallet? I already have like a computer, notebook, and tablet. And I say, because of that, because all the computers and mobile phones were built to share information, to make information easily accessible. None of those was built to protect those information. That's why you need a separate hardware wallet or a piece of hardware that discards any attempts of a hack or any attempts of a virus to reach it. Right? Does it make sense? Yeah.
So I guess it's exactly a really, I think, an important thing in society is that as technology is moving, and you've touched on this, technology keeps moving, and we keep moving more and more and more of our assets and the things we hold value to into a digital format. And none of the things that we currently make as a society are designed to protect those assets, only to share them. And Bitcoin is kind of it's kind of the first use case of learning how to secure and protect a digital asset. And you're saying that you think the vision of Trezor is to move beyond Bitcoin and secure all digital assets using a piece of secure hardware. And I think that's incredibly important for people to learn about, because this revolution of dealing with your security is starting to take place and be noticed. And it seems Trezor might be a leader in helping people learn and deal about this.
Well, I certainly hope so. Just imagine like the way we interconnect our lives with the internet, and almost everything's there. And you log in with your Twitter account to other websites, and with your Facebook account to another websites. And basically, I think there may be one step in time when people realize, oh, I'm nothing without the internet, because everything is there. All my life is there, right? And then imagine someone will take your online personality hostage.
Yeah,
and then you're screwed. I mean, you cannot access.
And it's so easy.
And it's really easy. Today it's a child's game, child's play. You can Google like how to install a keylogger. You just go ahead and try, and you'll get installation packages of keyloggers and how to manually.
Rodro.
She just created a bunch of hackers.
Do we need a disclaimer? I think we need a disclaimer.
Okay, this is no advice, please. But no, honestly, I mean, a decade ago maybe, or I don't know, I'm not a hacker. It was probably much more demanding to be a hacker. You would have to have a specific knowledge and connections with other people who do that. Today, you just need a Google. That's it.
Well,
it's a bit scary though. It's a bit scary.
Yeah. No,
At the same time, we cannot go back. I mean, we cannot go to the trees, you know. Yeah. So we just need to find a good balance between okay, is this something that I need to share? Is this? Do I really need to sign in with my Facebook account so big data guys can, mine more information about me and stuff like that? And this is something that can only be done with education or experience. Yeah. I prefer education than experience because the experience is usually a bad one.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that one.
Well, we're going to wrap this up. We're going to ask you the most difficult question of all. Are you ready?
Oh, I'm scared. Okay, go ahead.
In 10 words or less, can you describe Bitcoin?
Oh my God, that's the most hated questions among Bitcoiners, I guess. I think Bitcoin is, first of all, it's a big unknown yet.
Big unknown.
Big unknown for the future. Not to. I don't want to imply that I don't know whether Bitcoin is about to succeed or not. I'm sure it is, but how and where we go. That's a big unknown and pretty exciting. It's definitely much more than money. I think Corey said that before. Much more than money, much more than just the transaction network and public ledger. I'm curious about what's to come from Bitcoin. And if I had to explain this to someone in half a minute on the street, I would say it's the first private money that you can hold, and you don't have to ask anyone for permission and so on. But that's a very limited explanation, I guess.
So you have two choices. You can go with a big unknown, or the second one where you shatter the 10-word limit.
Okay, so I would have to think of a better answer than big unknown. This is a difficult question.
It is a loaded question. It is quite a loaded question.
Yes. But, Bitcoin is sexy, definitely. Bitcoin has a growing user base, and although, there's a lot of people saying, Bitcoin is about to end, and why Bitcoin failed. No, I would just now be able to tell you at least 5 or more reasons why I don't think so. And this is, first of all, because of and I'm going to go back to the politics and economy, because of the recession, people will be probably looking for alternatives, and gold is not the only alternative, so Bitcoin and gold, I think, will be on the rise. When you look at China and this huge credit bubble that they're heading and the slowdown, and I guess you've noticed this multi-level in November 2015. So I think we will see some similar huge opportunities for the Chinese to get into Bitcoin. And when you look at the retail adoption, well, PayPal announced this Vences Cesares from Zappo to get on board. Overstock is issuing their stocks, I think, on the BTC Smart Assets platform. You have this R3 consortium digging into blockchain. So there's a lot of like positive movement towards as well. 2014, everyone said like it's a Ponzi scheme and a scam. Last year, nobody was having any doubts about validity of Bitcoin. So there's a lot of good reasons for me to think that Bitcoin will stay and grow.
Absolutely. Well,
what do you think? Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go for it.
What do you think? And can you explain Bitcoin to me, please?
All right. What do I say Bitcoin is digital peer-to-peer currency. In a nutshell, for me. That's my definition.
Digital peer-to-peer currency, okay. There was Corey or D?
Your turn, Corey. 10 words or less.
10 words or less. Easy to move money without banks.
Okay.
Wow, I need to learn from you.
We've been at this for a while.
We've been doing it for a while.
We've gotten so many responses now. We could just get it out there quick.
So. See, my key idea here is that money is, I don't know, the idea of Bitcoin is that it generalized money. And most people think about money as fiat cash, but money is just value and what you were willing to trade someone for a good or service. So when you broaden the idea of what money is and then take the banks away, you get Bitcoin. It's kind of this beautiful idea, and what people need to kind of do in the first place by opening up their horizons and not thinking about money just as the cash in their wallet.
Mm-hmm. That's going to take a long leap, I think. But
yeah, it'll be a while, but it's a slow progression, and I think we're on the right track for it.
It's a slow progression that all depends on what's happening in the world. Maybe it will be a shock, Mm-hmm. Well, who knows? I mean, who knows? We should be ready for that. I mean, we are now with Bitcoin. We have all the infrastructure and the wallets and ways to get Bitcoin. I mean, for the best way to get Bitcoin still, in my opinion, is to earn it. That's the best way. All right, so I hope you guys get some Bitcoin tips. Do you?
Occasionally.
Yeah, we get paid in Bitcoin. So, and that is fun and easy. So.
Yes. So maybe this is the window to pitch your Bitcoin wallet.
Well, we're going to wrap it up, Alena.
Okay.
It's very good to have you on the show and represent TREZOR and SatoshiLabs. And thank you for your time.
Well, thank you for your time and for waking up very early in the morning. That's been very brave of you. Thank you.
All right. Have a good day.
You too.
Bye.
And that was Alena Vranova. Hope I got that last name right. Sometimes I get them wrong. But amazing interview. Sorry about the sound quality. We try to do our best. But it was a really insightful and joyful interview, and with so much optimism and a clear sight for what Bitcoin is and how they use it and how she uses it and how what it represents. Maybe in countries where the governments aren't so reliable, where the governments, what am I kidding? No government is reliable. You never know what those fuckers are doing. But TREZOR and Bitcoin give you an option to hedge against your government, just like good old Ashton Kutcher would say.
Yep.
Okay. So, we hope you enjoyed the interview. And TREZOR, go get one. It's a Loctite. I've seen many a demo for it. I'm currently waiting on my free one.
Yeah.
And we're going to test it out. Put a nice little YouTube video out there to show you guys how it works. So, yeah, go get TREZOR.
And it's important because new technology, it demands something important to move from early adopter novelty to widely embraced tool. Mm-hmm. And this is new technology, so it's important to support it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So what's next on the docket? What are we talking about next?
let's just shoot the shit, and our enthusiasm for Bitcoin will bleed through.
Okay. What do you feel about the price movements lately?
I think it's going to stay put for a little bit. You
think so? I think it's going to push down to 350.
Yeah, well, in my mind, I'm thinking 350 and with a high of 415. It's going to stay there for a while.
Something that does kind of not worry me, but it is like a red flag, is the fact that Bitcoin and the blockchain are so amazing. We see this time and time again all throughout the week from different professionals and, different experts. However, given that they are so amazing, the investments going into them are for companies that apply Bitcoin in some way or have built some sort of blockchain enabled service. But how come people aren't just directly investing in the currency? That's a big question mark for me.
I think it has to do with the hard forks, right?
That could be it, but for me, it's a question mark because I'm thinking it was obvious for me. Even when I learned about Bitcoin, I still knew about all these services. I knew Coinbase was the thing. I knew blockchain.info was a thing. I knew about all these exchanges. I knew about all the places where this VC money seems to be flowing to. But at the end of the day, at the end of the argument, I was still like, well, hell, I might as well just buy Bitcoin and own a bunch of Bitcoin. That's my sure shot bet. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think they, and when I say they, I guess the core, the Blockstream, I think they backed themselves into a corner with that hard fork because it's fear mongering to the extent that they're willing to push something 10 times more risky as a soft fork just to avoid the precedent of a painless hard fork. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Because painless hard forks, the block size would probably rapidly be raised to like 8 megabytes and their sidechain subsidy would be gone. So I think people are afraid. I think that's going to affect the price.
Yeah.
And I don't know. They're dangerous.
But it's supposed to.
They put the market in charge. And then the market might vote against the experts.
Yeah. It's supposed to, though. I think the price should naturally go down if something is in flux. It's only natural.
Yeah.
But the deal is, from a user standpoint, we said this, is that if your coins are on one before the fork, just don't move them until the fork is over and nothing has changed from a user standpoint. The longest chain wins, and your money is now on the longest chain. Kudos.
Yep.
So,
I think, and don't underestimate the likelihood that the exchanges are going to stab the hard fork side in the back.
Do you think that's going to get dramatic like that?
Well, let's think about it from the exchange's perspective. For the larger ones in the West, they know full well that there's a chance that the bigger block fork fails hard. So if they mistakenly support this fork, what happens? And what happens is that, they would have sold something purporting to the Bitcoin whose value shortly crashed to zero, with the original Bitcoin branch retaining value. And then the surviving experts of the core could testify that they warned us for years that this fork would not be real Bitcoin, but an altcoin. So, any major Western exchange on the losing side who sold big block coins would be dead to rights and then guilty of fraud. So I predict that at the last minute, maybe the major Western exchanges who supposedly support an alternative big block fork will bail from the coalition.
But from my understanding, a hard fork is also seamless, and it'll happen really quickly. Like, we'll know which fork wins really quickly according to the miners and the nodes switching up. And so, if anything, all exchanges would have to do would be suspend trading for, half hour, however long it takes for the longest chain to be deemed the winner, and then boom, pick it back up.
Well, the double spend attack would be asymmetric, so only the big block fork would be vulnerable.
The longest chain wins, though. So, are there any vulnerabilities if you suspend trading until the longest chain is We need to do more research. That's what this sounds like.
I think we fell into a rabbit hole.
Yeah, we fell into a rabbit hole on the show. All I know is this. The longest chain wins. Boom. It's kind of like Highlander. There can only be one. And then lightning strikes. And then people get their heads cut off.
It's like the U.S. Constitution. It's constitutional to change it, but unconstitutional not to follow it. Bam.
Dropping bombs today.
Biggity blam.
Bombs
Corey always steals my thunder. He does. He says things and I'm like, I was going to say that.
You just got to chime in. Anyways. So, the roundtable is supposed to be short because the Alena Vranova interview was long. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you're inspired to go out there and maybe get a hardware wallet. Because it is a really secure way to hold your funds. Like Cello said at the top of the episode, even if your computer is riddled with malware-infected pornography that you've downloaded from sketchy-ass torrents all over the world, TREZOR is still going to keep your money safe because it's encrypted on the device. So
whether you're like a casual or a serious cryptocurrency user, it's tailored to your needs. So we like it. We thank Alena for being on the show, and we think you should buy it.
Absolutely. We're going to wrap it up. So we'll catch us on our Twitter at the BTC Podcast. Marcello runs the Twitter, and he does a good job.
Yep.
Every once in a while, you'll see him tweeting famous people to try and get them on the show because we like interviewing quasi-famous people. I guess I don't know. Anyways, we like to broaden our interview library of guests. There we go. Got that out. Okay, thebitcoinpodcast.com. That's the website. You can go on there. There's all kinds of knowledge bombs on there. If you have newcomers to Bitcoin in your life, you can direct them to our show and our website, and we will fulfill their Bitcoin needs. It's a guarantee. Bloggity blogs are coming out. Corey's got a blog coming out. We hope you like this second episode. We're going to try and get all three of us here, so we have our more cohesive format on the other ones. But Corey is having a Narcos party in Brazil right now. So, he's not a narco, but his parties are like that. Well, there's no drugs.
It's only 3:30 over there. It's not too
bad. Anyways, what else am I missing?
Next week we got Justin Newton, co-founder and CEO of Netkey, creators of the wallet name service.
Absolutely. So,
tune in.
Turns your Bitcoin address into an easy recognizable address, very similar to an email address. So that's good, right? Am I right? And then zapchain.com/z/just2guys. Come join us in the community and we can talk and you'll get bits. We send you bits. That's right.
We're talking to you, foreigners.
Yep. We have a lot of foreigners that follow us on Zapchain. I like it. Anywho. Is that everything?
Be out, man. We should play like the GoldenEye N64 theme to celebrate Zinnia Onatop being on the show.
Absolutely. All right, play.
The outro.